Your ancestors called it magic, and you call it science.
It's so dense that if you tried to put it on the ground, it would fall right through the earth.
These days, almost everyone knows who Thor is, a god from Norse mythology who's usually shown carrying a hammer. He's really popular and shows up everywhere, especially in the Marvel movies. And in this video, we're talking about Thor, but more specifically, we're talking about his weapon, Mjolnir.
It's a weapon to destroy, or as a tool to build?
In the story, Mjolnir is shown as ridiculously heavy. So heavy that even the Hulk can't lift it, right? But I don't think it's just about weight. It feels like the hammer decides who gets to lift it, which looks like straight up magic. But what if it isn't magic at all? What if Mjolnir is actually technology? Like Arthur C. Clarke once said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Well, magic's just science that we don't understand yet, Arthur C. Clarke.
Because there are a few science theories that could explain Mjolnir. The first one is the neutron star concept. It focuses on what the hammer could actually be made of. The second is the Graviton theory, and this one might explain why the hammer seems to choose who can lift it. So what are neutron stars and Graviton theory? And how could they explain Mjolnir? Let's talk about it. Alright, let's start with the first clue about where Mjolnir actually comes from. This is said directly by Odin.
So long entrusted with the mighty hammer Mjolnir, forged in the heart of a dying star. Its power has no equal.
And that's the clue, guys. That clue is genuinely interesting. Because Marvel could have said the hammer was made from magical metal, or some kind of like god material or some unknown steel, but they didn't. They chose one very specific phrase, a dying star. With this clue, Marvel seems to suggest that the hammer's power doesn't come from a random magic spell, but from something tied to a cosmic phenomenon. But the problem is that a dying star sounds cool, but also vague. It makes us wonder what kind of dying star was actually used to make Mjolnir. To answer that, we need to step outside the Marvel story for a moment and look at real astronomy. In the real world, dying stars don't all end the same way. If a star is small or medium-sized like our sun, it will die slowly. It's calm, it's quiet, nothing dramatic at all. But if a star is much bigger than the sun, the story will change. When a massive star runs out of fuel, there's no longer enough energy to hold its structure up. At that point, the star's own gravity starts pulling everything inward toward its core. This process is known as gravitational collapse. As gravitational collapse happens, the core of the dying star shrinks rapidly. Its volume will drop, and its density will rise to an extremely unimaginable level. From that point on, there are two possible outcomes. The first outcome is a black hole, an extreme state where gravitational collapse can't be stopped at all.
Black hole is the ultimate consequence of gravity.
Is an object that has so much mass crushed into such a small space.
Nothing escapes, not even light.
But if the core's mass isn't large enough to form a black hole, and the collapse can still be halted, what forms instead is a neutron star, a star made almost entirely of neutron particles.
What we're talking about here is an object that is very massive, very small, very dense, with intense gravity.
We're talking about material that's so dense.
It's so dense that if you tried to put it on the ground, it would fall right through the earth.
This neutron star is what Odin is referring to when he talks about a dying star, and Thor later confirms this directly.
If it lives forged, harnesses the blazing power of a neutron star. It's the birthplace of my hammer. It's truly awesome.
A neutron star is the second densest object in the universe after a black hole. Just think about that. A star that was once much larger than the sun collapses into something so small, it's not even bigger than New York City.
With the neutron star, you're taking something that weighs more than the sun and compressing it down to be smaller than a city.
Neil Tyson once said that a tiny piece of neutron star material the size of thumb could weigh around 1 trillion tons. And Neil even tweeted that if Thor's hammer were really made from neutron star material, its weight would be equivalent to about 300 billion elephants. It's crazy, right? But that immediately creates a problem. Because if Mjolnir were actually that heavy, a lot of scenes in Marvel movies wouldn't make any sense. Thor wouldn't be able to place the hammer on a table, because the table would collapse instantly. With that kind of mass, the hammer should punch through the floor, through the Earth's crust, and maybe even destroy the Earth itself. And on top of that, Marvel has officially confirmed that Mjolnir only weighs 42 pounds. Wait, if the hammer isn't actually that heavy, why can't just anyone lift it? This question brings us to the second theory. It's not about mass or weight, it's about gravity. In the comic Indestructible Hulk, it's mentioned that Thor's hammer emits particles called gravitons. This detail changes the whole picture, because it suggests that Mjolnir isn't heavy in a physical sense. Instead, it's manipulating gravity itself. To understand how that could work, we need to step slightly into the world of quantum physics. When we talk about physics, we all know that everything around us is made of matter, and matter has a clear structure. It's made of atoms. Inside every atom, there are three main particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. But the universe doesn't stop there. In the quantum world, beyond protons, neutrons, and electrons that make up physical matter, there are other particles whose names alone might already sound unfamiliar for most of us. There are muons. There's the Higgs boson, often called the God particle. There are gluons that hold atomic nuclei together. There are photons, which exist as light, and many others. But among all these particles, there's one that still exists only as a scientific assumption. It's called the graviton. In theory, the graviton is believed to be the particle that allows gravity to exist in the universe. The concept of the graviton comes from the assumption that every force in the universe has its own carrier particle. Take gluons, for example. Gluon is the particles that allow protons and neutrons inside an atomic nucleus to stick together with incredible strength. Of course, we can't see gluons in any atomic illustrations because they exist at the quantum scale. But they're real, they follow mathematical rules, and their effects can be measured. And the same idea applies to other forces in the universe. They exist because there are tiny particles responsible for carrying those forces from one object to another. And by that logic, gravity should work the same way too. Gravity clearly exists, and we experience its effects every day. Yet so far, we've never found a particle that directly carries the gravitational force itself. Because if gravity truly is a fundamental force, then by the logic of physics, it should also have a carrier particle. And that's where scientists propose a hypothetical particle called the graviton, not as a proven fact, but as a logical consequence of the pattern we see in how the universe works.
So if gravity is a fundamental force, there should exist a particle.
We expect there to be.
Called a graviton.
Based on our understanding.
Because all other forces have these mediating particles. So a graviton must be detected.
And this graviton is what Marvel is pointing to. With gravitons, everything starts to make sense, because controlling gravitons would mean controlling gravity itself. In Thor's hand, the hammer feels light, but when it lands or is thrown at an enemy, it can become incredibly heavy, so heavy that even the Hulk can't lift it. But then a question comes up. Why can Captain America lift it? If we go back to the comic, it's mentioned that the hammer's graviton output depends on an external stimulus. And according to Odin, that external stimulus is whether someone is worthy or not.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
In the comics, the hammer is often described more like advanced technology, something close to nanotech. And if Mjolnir is really technology, then Odin's words weren't just a magic spell. It's more like a program embedded into the hammer. Anyone who matches that program gets access to it. But what exactly counts as worthy under Odin's program? Honestly, we don't really know, and Marvel never explains it in detail. If you're thinking the hammer only works for good people, that's probably not the rule. Because in some stories, even antagonists have been able to interact with it. And honestly, that's not that surprising. It's still fiction at the end of the day.
You're all not worthy.
So yeah, in the end, this is still fiction. Thor's hammer obviously isn't a real object, and the theories we talked about don't mean Marvel is teaching physics, but at the very least, this isn't random nonsense, and that's exactly what makes Marvel stories fun to follow. And more than that, this is a reminder that learning can come from anywhere, even from fictional stories like this. Because like Arthur C. Clarke once said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Well, magic's just science that we don't understand yet, Arthur C. Clarke.
But what about the city of the day after tomorrow? Say the year 2000. I think it will be completely different. In fact, it may not even exist at all.
At first, every technology looks like fiction, but in the end, we all get to enjoy it every day.